Hello again, folks. It's great to be back on Gamescape. Thank you if you're subscribing and following along all this time. I haven't had a whole lot of output for you to engage in, so it's good to be back here with something positive to talk about. As I turn the corner from 25 to 26 and you know, kind of thinking about the business model, I look back and realized that I just wasn't that excited about PDFs, and I didn't get the same sort of feeling of accomplishment or satisfaction when I completed a PDF product as opposed to a physical one. So I'm going to switch gears again. So this year I want to go back to producing physical hard copy products as being the emphasis. And PDFs are a way to do something that might not be worth a print run, but for a lot of things I want to get back into emphasizing hard copy. So you see here I've got some new boxes. In the past I during the pandemic and inflation and all these other things, I was trying to, decide how I can keep prices down, how I can best utilize this, fairly small space. And so PDFs became the emphasis, and I just didn't like it. And frankly, most of the customers didn't really like it either. So, if nothing else, to make myself happy, I wanted to get back into this kind of thing. So the letterhead boxes that we used to use, never was crazy about those, but they were affordable and they worked at the most basic minimal level. But then shipping on those things, I used to get them from a Uline in Dallas, and shipping went from $25 to over $100. Just to get them shipped, and then the price of the boxes themselves doubled, so that effectively more than tripled the price of those things. So I tried to find cheaper boxes, and that was about the time that Lob 2 came out, and those boxes were atrocious. I was hoping to get something comparable at a decent price. That was not the case, so I paid, I thought, a decent price, but got a product that was virtually unacceptable. And I hated those boxes. I ended up using them as packing material. So a few years later, here I am looking at various other options, and I found these mailers, and they are 2 inches deep. They're semi-gloss, or I don't know, kind of a matte, I don't know, finish on them. At any rate, I like them. They're pretty tough. They have the tucking lid, and so Stone Cold, it's the same contents inside, but now instead of selling dice separately and selling the CCL Season 1 separately, I'm putting those things back in the box. So that alleviates confusion, and that also ensures that the customer receives something that they can at least engage with and not have to order more stuff right out of the box. So everything else is the same: score sheets, instructions, and the charts that all come with Stone Cold. Of course, Stone Cold, in the instructions, there's a section for creating fictional leagues and doing, I don't know if career is the right term, but doing campaign kind of play season after season. So that's in the box already with Stone Cold. Now, let me show you Dice United. There's something new here. I think this is Dice United. All right, so with Dice United, it's nice to see it in that sturdy box. The dice are back in here again. I'm just going to do a selection of 4 sample teams, and what season they come from is probably going to depend on what you know, what I've got sitting around in stock that I have plenty of stuff on the shelf. At any rate, so dice, a few sample cards, enough to at least play the game and see if you like it. Then you can order more seasons if you want. Instructions unchanged. However, look at this. What do we have here? This thing has only ever been a PDF product until now. The ratings guide. And it's pretty hefty. It's 22, 24, I guess it comes out to 22, 3, 4. 24 pages total, including the covers. And here's the front, back, and of course, if you've purchased this, if you're familiar with it already, it's got the first half of it is all about how to rate historical teams. And then you get the back half, and it talks about creating fictional teams and then running them through off-season changes and things like that. And then there's the new back for it. It didn't have a back before. Like I said, it was just a PDF, so it was never really designed for print. So it's been reformatted along those lines, and then everything else is the same. Charts are unchanged, and here's some of the score sheets if you use them. I never even use these things, but that's an option. So that's the new presentation, the new core set for Dice United. I better get that ratings guide underneath the instructions. There we go. So I'm excited about that, but as you can see, there's a third box here. Yeah, it's heavy. This here, at long last, is my print-proof demo copy of Roundtrip Baseball, and let's take a closer look at that. I'll move the camera overhead. Stay tuned. Okay, this camera is not quite squared up, but we'll see how it works. Here it is, Roundtrip. With this one, I've got an extra adhesive to go on the spine so you can stand it up book style. Pretty happy about that. I think I'm going to do that with the other games as well. I'm just experimenting. Like I said, this is a print proof. And so we'll see how things go with this kind of packaging and this whole thing, really. Nice cover adhesive on it. We open it up. And what do we got here? Okay, so two 12-sided dice. And a bunch of tokens. All right, two 12-sideds. You got the percentile that I tend to almost always use. And then a 6-sider that's currently red. I guess it'll stay that way, I hope. And then a couple different colors of tokens. The yellow tokens are for base runners, and the red is for tracking pitcher's fade mechanics. And then we got these stickers, these little adhesives that apply to these. And we could talk about that more further down the road, I guess. But that's what that stuff is. You'll see it. I'll do some demo videos shortly. Then this here is the field deck. So on routine outs, where there's really not a question of an error, or some sort of special base runner advancement, or any kind of fielding check really involved, there is a deck of 72 cards, and each card gives you a fielding position related to a certain kind of play. So typical ground out, or a ground out that could be a double play fielder's choice scenario, pop out, line out, fly out, a single, and any other kind of extra base hit. All right. So when those plays come up and a fielder is not specified, then these cards will tell you for either lefty or righty where that play goes. I actually don't use them that much, but it depends on my mood. If I'm doing a really immersive, important playoff game or something, then probably I will use them. If I'm just clicking along, I want to get through a game quickly, I probably won't even mess with these. All right. The game is going to come with 8 teams in color. These are from the 1994 season. And, the emphasis of this game, as you'll see, is really fictional, but it can do historical if you want it to. And the 1994 season is kind of a middle ground, right? Because it was the season that never was completed. We never had a postseason. So I decided to produce the 8 top teams from that season. And interestingly, they are not all division teams that were division leaders at the time, because of the way MLB was doing their divisions. At that time, you could have some pretty bad divisions and still have a team that would make the playoffs. I guess they still do that today, to a degree, with wildcard teams and whatnot. At any rate, here they are. So I ended up with White Sox, Indians, Astros, Orioles, Braves, Yankees, Expos, and the Reds. It was fun to rate these. It was a good opportunity while developing the ratings process for this game to see how these teams would come out. And a lot was learned in that. And I've done several more teams from 94 that will eventually be in an additional supplemental set. So if you want to buy the other, 20 teams, right? There's still 20 more teams to go, if you wanted to have the whole season and play that out. All right, now, I guess I'm upside down here. Here is the instructions for Roundtrip. They look great, front and back. And there's color inside. And remember, if you see anything weird in here, formatting-wise, it's this is just a print proof. So this is going to like that there. In the final version, that header is not going to be at the bottom of page 11. But that's why we do these print proofs. See how these things lay out. How many pages is that? Instructions. Let's see. 17, so it's 20 pages total. But looky here. Similar to what I'm doing with Dice United, putting the ratings guide in the core game, I thought I'd go ahead and take the same approach with Roundtrip. So here is an entire separate 16-page ratings guide, also in color. And, like the Dice United ratings guide, this one starts off with how to translate historical stats into Roundtrip game statistics. Okay, but then in the second half, it gets into the career system. So how to generate teams completely from scratch, teams and players, and then in the end, how to progress them through off-season and everything else. You'll notice a lot of the screenshots in here are all spreadsheet things. So this isn't giving you actually all of the charts and tables because there's just too many of them. The RTB career system for generating all these players and doing all the off-season stuff and aging and all that, it came out to close to 80 tables. So just to just to print those out would be kind of ridiculous, kind of excessive. So this guide really, the bulk of it is focused on explaining how the spreadsheets work, or the workbooks, the Excel workbooks. There are 3 Excel workbooks, and I'm not sure if I'm settled on the names of them yet, but there's going to be one that's a team generator for generating the fictional teams. There's another one that's called the Auto Rate, RATE workbook, which will allow you to grab statistics from from online and plug those in, and then that will help you produce. It will do the lookups for you and produce the ratings that way. It's doing it one player at a time, so it's still going to be a time-consuming process, but at least it automates a lot of stuff for you. So what I say, auto rate, and then the team generator for fictional, and then the third one is an off-season workbook where you can grab your roster from the team generator and plug that into this off-season spreadsheet. And if you want to go through multiple seasons, you can watch them change. You have to manually update the player ratings, but it will tell you off to the side of the roster list what the changes are for that particular season based on the players' years of experience, seasons of experience, if you will. So that's a big deal. So essentially, you've got 2 games in one, right? Well, it's actually more than that, right? Because you've got, you can create and make your own fictional teams. You can rate historical players and do that. That's sort of a thing into itself. And then also, this is something that we've talked about on the channel previously. Back in the appendices, there's Rally Field. So if you want to play a hybrid alternate form of baseball that's a bit more streamlined and quicker, then this is Appendix 2 is an option for you, which presents ideas on how to use teams, how the game would work, and if you're familiar with Banana Ball, the Savannah Bananas, a lot of these ideas are borrowed concepts, are borrowed from there. A lot of stuff was not borrowed from them also, as you'll see. But that's another way. So does that make this 2.5 games in one? I don't know. All right, here's your field chart. Here's the control chart. This is used for most modern play. We'll see how that pans out over time. Like I said, this thing is still, development is not 100% done, but it's well over 90%. So you notice I flipped it over, and on this side we have a different ball field, and this says dead ball control chart. So if you want to play, have a dead ball sort of experience, then this chart helps take the game in that direction by introducing more errors, more error chances, for example, and also emphasizing more contact hitting over over discipline or power. So there's that as well. Pretty neat. I like that piece. Then there's the charts. There's a considerable amount of them. There's the score sheets in the bottom. And so you got your pitcher action chart. That's where most of the pitcher results are going to come from. Batter action chart. And for those who are familiar with Grid Zone, you'll see the pedigree here in terms of charts are dedicated to a certain specific aspect of player ratings, and then the player ratings themselves become die modifiers. So if you have a 5 rating in a particular ability, say the pitcher's heat is a 5, then you roll a d12 and you add 5 to it, and then that becomes the result on the chart, right? Pretty cool. All right, these other charts, these have pretty much remain unchanged now for a long time. I guess I've tweaked a few minor issues, but field action, no, that's for plays that probably shouldn't be made, but with great fielding ability and effort, they can be made, and those are your highlight reel field plays. There's field trouble, which are plays that are probably should be made, but there is a chance to screw them up, if you will, and that's where the error checks come in. Then you got your steal charts, phases to that, which you'll see in action in the demo games. Bunting, stealing, these are all basic die rolls. There are no player ratings for bunting and hit and run, and there's no specific like individual player lefty righty splits and that kind of thing. If you're into that sort of level of detail, man, there are tons of baseball games out there for you. But this one here takes a more basic approach to those aspects of it. I've got games, I've got replay sitting here. I've got ballpark and fall classic and Stratomatic. I've got plenty of baseball games like most of you, and I don't need this game to cover the same ground. I need it to do different things. Okay, let's see. What else? Where was I? So, there's also some optional charts back here. Probably most people won't use these, but I think I will. Series personnel check. So when you go into a series, you roll a die, and you see if one or two players might be missing for that series, or maybe longer, going on the DL. If they go on the DL, then you roll here to see who it is. And what else? There's optional rules about pushing a pitcher deep into his fade. And here's the fade procedures: fade level 0, 1, and 2. And then there's just some reminders about chart codes. What does this mean? Single plus, double plus, speed check, that sort of thing, which are actually pretty intuitive. All right, I think that covers it. That is a look at the very first print-proof copy of Roundtrip Baseball. I am excited. This has been such a long haul getting to this point, but I think it's all going to be worth it in terms of just having a game that does its own thing, has its own little niche, and it's still fun to play. It's a great toolkit for doing whatever you want to do. If you want to make a league specifically for Rally Field, if you want to create a certain subset of players and throw them together on a team, you can do that. If you want to rate some season that no other game that you play currently has, you can do that. I know there are games out there that have covered them all, but at any rate, there you got it. And I hope you like what you see. If you're coming to IndyCon in April, I will have this there. We can sit down and play a game. All right? I'll see you all later.